Players, it's time for another riveting episode of Playing Stupid Games. How long are we supposed to wait? Okay. This is Double D Bubba with Guys Reviews, and I am out on location, but you blow my mind. Hello, players. How are you all doing today? So excited to be with you all. We have a very special guest in the house with us tonight this afternoon to talk about some things. This is Mr. Marcus Flowers. He is running to unseat Marjorie Taylor Greene. So we are so excited to have him here to answer some questions and get down to the nitty gritty of things. I actually want to introduce you all with his introduction video, his campaign video. So I'm going to play that for you all. You can get acquainted with him because I haven't been live with him here. So you all may not be acquainted with him. So I want to show you this video so you can learn a little bit more about Marcus.
I'm Marcus Flowers, and I've spent my life serving this country in combat zones across the world. But I never thought I'd see one here in the United States.
Q is a patriot. We know that for sure.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's America.
Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed support for executing Democratic members of Congress.
Taylor Greene said that a plane did not hit the Pentagon on 9/11.
Her twisted conspiracy theories may have made her famous, but they haven't done a damn thing to help the people here in our district. Now I'm running for Congress because Georgians deserve better. Better health care, COVID relief, and real representation. My childhood wasn't easy. When I was 11, I moved into a children's home because my parents couldn't support me. So I learned to deal with bullies at an early age. At 18, after graduating high school, I joined the Army. My first overseas deployment was at an intelligence listening post in Central Europe on the doorstep of communism. I spent a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan as a contractor for the Department of Defense and held top secret security clearance. I've witnessed firsthand the damage done by extremism, radicalism, and disinformation. And I won't stand by while people in Washington take us down the same path. The Army Corps values teach honor, personal courage, and selfless service. That's what I'll bring to Congress. I hope you'll join me on my next mission.
I absolutely love that video. Every time I watch it, I remember the first time I saw it, and I was like, I started clutching my pearls. I was like, who is this? Let me get to know him. I love that video. Marcus, how are you doing?
Oh, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Excited to be with you so we can chop it up a little bit. I'm so excited to have you here. So we'll just start things off. Of course, we're on a different platform, so I would love for you to just give everybody a little bit about you, Marcus.
Well, a little bit about me. I was born in Troy, Alabama, which is the birthplace of John Lewis. We just, celebrated his 82nd birthday yesterday. What would have been his 82nd birthday. He was my idol growing up as a kid, watching and learning about John Lewis when I was younger, and the courage it took for him to do all of the things that he did, walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, Bloody Sunday, and, Midnight Riders, and everything that John Lewis stood for, a peaceful man, but he fought for our rights to vote. Unfortunately, we're still fighting that fight today. Absolutely. But he was my idol, and as the video said, at 11 years old, I spent some time in a children's home because my family, like, many families in my district and, across the country, quite frankly, we fell on some pretty rough times. I grew up in poverty. We were poor. I mean, we were po, actually. We weren't poor enough to be poor. We were po, as we would say in Alabama, where I'm from. But, that's how I grew up, and, made me who I am today. At 18 years old, I joined the Army, and I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's what I've been doing for almost 30 years now. So that's who I am. I've been defending this country abroad for 20 years as a soldier defense contractor and government official. It's been a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the reason I'm in this race is, I saw that we were headed down a dark and dangerous path, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the people who are trying to lead us down that dark and dangerous path, and I won't stand for it. So I'm pushing back. I'm running to represent the people here of Georgia's 14th congressional district, because they do deserve true representation and not an absentee voice there in Congress who's only there to spout conspiracy theories and enrich herself.
Absolutely.
That's about me.
Absolutely. I love when you speak about your you being a veteran. How do you feel about helping veterans, about the assistance for veterans? What do you think that we can do to improve the assistance of our veterans? Because they are so important. You all are so important, and thank you for your service. Hello?
Yeah, I lost you there for a second. You froze, but I think I got most of the question. What do I want to do for veterans and how I feel about it? That's as a veteran, having gone through the VA system, wasn't easy. It took me over a year and a half to get my claims processed. I suffered some injuries during my service. So that was an eye-opening experience for me, seeing other veterans go through the process, knowing actually Vietnam vets who are still, only now getting, the benefits that they deserve, and having gone through that process for so long, and being in a rural area, like the rural areas that I live in, not having a lot of VA hospitals, or I think we only have 2 in this district, and people have to drive for, I think I drove for or at least an hour to get to at least one of my appointments, so it's, we can do better by our veterans. We can make, the care that they need more accessible, especially in rural areas. We can make the process a lot simpler for veterans who've, suffered injuries or who are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, think about it. We spent a decade or 2 decades at war. So a lot of those injuries, both seen and unseen, they need to be taken care of. We need to take care of those guys. Our veteran suicide rate is, I think we were at 22 a day at one point in time. Veteran homelessness. These are all issues that concern me deeply, and I think we can do better as a country to take care of those. One of the things I would love to do in Congress is, help cut through some of that red tape. I was endorsed by Senator Max Cleland before he died. And he did, he ran the VA for a while, or sat on committees over the VA. And he's, I want to take up some of that work that he was working on to support our veterans. So that's, there's so many things that we can do for our veterans, and I'd love to be a part of that and helping out. And I think I could provide guidance through oversight. Being a veteran, having lived that life and been in combat zones it's been a decade in Iraq and Afghanistan, I've been in 46 different countries with my service. So there's a lot that we can do for our veterans.
Absolutely. I love to hear you speak about that, because that's something that is very important too. Am I having a feedback? Can you hear me very well?
I can hear you fine now. You're freezing a little bit, but I can hear you okay.
We have some bad weather coming through here, and I'm hoping that it's not affecting my internet. I'm so sorry. If I freeze, just let me know. But we've got some really bad rain here and some bad weather. Yeah. Well, I love to hear you speak about that, because I feel like our veterans are so important, and they often get overlooked. Or people who haven't been a veteran representing veterans, they don't often do it well because they haven't been through the process. So I think it's very important. I think it's going to add some value to the constituents in your area, in your district. Speaking of your district, absolutely. Is that something that you hear on the? Go ahead.
If I can real quick, Georgia has a huge veteran community. I think I saw a figure, we have like 640,000 veterans who live here in Georgia. So, and I'm talking to people all the time, and I hear about the homelessness of our veterans, and I see it. And, a lot of those issues can be taken care of if we just cut through some of the red tape and get things done for our vets.
Absolutely. So you hear about that a lot when you're out out with the constituents, huh?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
And I see it. it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, since we're talking about your district, I wanted to ask you, you're not the only person that is running to unseat Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know she ran undefeated last time, but you're not the only person that's running to unseat her. So why do you feel like you're the best candidate aside from the other candidates?
Well, you know, no other candidate or Democrat, quite frankly, in this district has done what we've been able to do. I mean, I embarked on this journey a year ago, after January 6th. And, I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm a first time candidate, never run for office before. I served the country my entire career, but not as an elected official. I was a government official, a soldier, and a defense contractor. Service has been my life. But seeing, where we were headed in this country, the level of disinformation that's out there, I felt that it was time to do something. And I think I speak with authority, having seen really the damage done by extremism and radicalization. And there's a significant portion of our country that's been radicalized by the radical right. I won't even call them Republicans. They're just the radicals on the right. These far right conspiracy theories, theorists like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I can push back against that because I've seen what that does. I've lost friends overseas, friends and colleagues. And that kind of thing doesn't happen in a vacuum. That was because of radicalization. We see that leads to unnecessary violence. And that's what I'm trying to stave off by pushing back against these things. And I think I can speak with authority coming from the world that I come from. There's no other candidate that can do that. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One other thing. There's no other candidate in this race that's raised the type of money and is going to be able to push back against the machine that is the radical right, which Marjorie Taylor Greene self-funded and ran unopposed in the last election. She won't do that this time. This time, people will have a choice. This campaign will be able to push back like no other campaign has ever been able to push back in the district. I'm sure you are aware that we outraised Marjorie Taylor Greene in fundraising in Q4 of 2021. We matched her in a couple of other quarters. So she's not as popular as people think she is. And she can be beaten. This district, not who people think we are. So people are in for a surprise, I think.
Absolutely. And do you feel, because you just took my next question away from me, I was about to ask you about your feelings about outraising her in the last quarter. Do you feel like that is on the ground that is being felt? Like, do you feel that is a big push for you to win because you feel like you have outraised her, you got a big momentum going? Do you think you can continue that momentum all the way until the election?
I think we can continue the momentum, but the fundraising is not the part that gives me the hope that we can win this race. It's getting out and talking to the people in the district, at the doors every day, out in the district when I'm meeting people. It's that they are embarrassed by her and they're ready for her to be gone. That's what gives me be able to, because the lies and the negative ads, they're going to come. We got to be able to push back against that. No other campaign that's going to be able to do that here in this district. Absolutely. But that's what gives me hope. It's the people, talking to the people every day. They give me the hope. They give me the energy. They're what fuels me every day to go out and do what I'm doing right now, talking with people, having the tough conversations. I don't always know if I'm talking to a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat. But the conversations are all pretty much the same. Everybody's embarrassed by her.
Absolutely. They are. Speaking of embarrassment, I'm just going to play you a little video here. I want to get a little bit of your reaction. This happened maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to get your reaction to this little ditty that happened out in the field with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Not only do we have the DC jail, which is the DC gulag, but now we have Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police spying on members of Congress, spying on the legislative work that we do, spying on our staff, and spying on American citizens that want to come talk to their
I'm more of a Brunswick stew type of guy rather than cold tomato soup. That's just me. Me.
I actually was going to ask you, do you prefer tomato soup or chicken noodle? Was something that we need to know. I think the Georgians in your district want to know, do you prefer tomato or do you prefer chicken noodle?
Chicken noodle probably, but I'm more of a Brunswick stew guy. I got the chicken put up in there. I need a little more things in there. But yeah, that's she's so it's just ridiculous. I really don't know how to respond. It's the height of ridiculous. She's so bent on trying to make these comparisons to Nazi Germany and a Russian gulag that, she didn't realize that gazpacho is soup and not the Gestapo. So.
Gestapo is what she was trying to say. It was a dragging on Twitter that I've never seen before when that happened. And I must say, I almost partook in it, but I knew I would be meeting with you and I didn't want to, buddy you up a little bit. So
our campaign kind of had a little fun with that as well. So.
I see you out on Twitter, and it's always exciting to see you out on Twitter expressing yourself. Marjorie cannot be on Twitter, and now she's saying that she wants to write some legislation. Is that something that's important to you regarding censorship with these with social media companies, media companies? Is that something? Do you think that is important to the people in your district? Have you heard that?
I don't think people really pay too much attention to that, and I'm not one for cancel culture. People have a right to say whatever it is they want to say. Free to say it. That doesn't relieve you from the consequences of your words and actions.
Absolutely.
Our words and actions do have consequences. We all learn that from a young age. In private companies, they have a right to take you off of their platform if that's what they want to do, if you violate their rules. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene can't sit on committees because even her own colleagues think that she is too radical to sit on committees.
Absolutely.
Her Republican colleagues. So she's not doing anything for Georgia. She can't. That's where your power comes from in Congress. That's how you steer funds towards your district and get things done that you need to get done by working with the local leaders and steering funds to the community. She can't do that because she can't sit on committees. And she doesn't do any constituent services anyway, because she doesn't have an office here in the district. So,
she doesn't have an office there in the district.
No. Wow.
That is amazing to me that she's not on the ground, speaking with the people. Do you know? I know that she's speaking at CPAC. That I think that's a very important thing for her to do. But I think that it would be for me, and I've seen you on the ground with your people. And I feel like that is the most important thing, to get out and hear from them and not worrying about other things, going out speaking with people. You want to know what your people are saying. And I like to applaud you for that, because that's so important, to get out and speak with them and let them know that you are there and you are doing this with them. You know what I mean? So
that's what I do. I get out, I talk to our local leaders and our elected officials, our school boards. I talk to our, our clergy here in the district, and we talk about everything. We talk about the needs of the district.
Right.
We talk about accountability. That's what a representative should be, is accountable to the people that you're representing. And that's what I will do. That's what I will bring. That's the difference between Marjorie Taylor Greene and I, is I understand what the job is. The job is working with the people here to get the things done that we need here in the district. Those kitchen table issues that people are worried about, housing. That's a big worry here in the district. Inflation, gas prices, what people are paying at the pump and in the grocery store. People are worried about that as well. Homelessness, schools, our kids, infrastructure here, rural broadband. These are the issues that are important to Georgians. That's what she should be working on. Not out touring the country with people like Matt Gaetz and on, wherever else she's going, and doing CPAC and things like that, when you're not here working with the people here in the district to get things done. Obviously, because she can't, but.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. So speaking of school district, because you just brought it up, I wanted to ask your thoughts on critical race theory. I wanted to ask you regarding that. What are your feelings on it? Because right now there is an outright attack on critical race theory in schools and things like that. So I would really like to know, and I'm pretty sure your constituents like to know, you've probably heard from them. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, we've had the talk. Nobody talks about it a whole lot, because guess what? Critical race theory, or any theory, really is not being taught in our K through 12 schools.
Thank you, Marcus.
Graduate level law course, that's taught in some universities. So it's not really an issue. However, history, we have a shared history in this country that we really need to sit down and talk about open and honestly.
Yes.
Again, I said I don't believe in cancel culture. I also don't believe in banning books because you don't agree with what the books are saying, or a true reflection of our shared history.
History, yes.
We have to get to a place where we're talking about our history open and honestly. That's the only way forward, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the only way forward. My mom always said you can't, everybody says you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. You know what I mean? So it's very important to do that. And it's just a shame to see what is going on because, like you said, critical race theory is not in school, in K through 12 schools, but people are waging war on things instead of working on the issues. They are waging war on things that don't matter against Dr. Seuss and things like that. When that shouldn't be a priority at this moment. It should really be about what the people need and what the people want. What do you think?
Well, I look at that as the culture wars that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene like to, try and fight. It has nothing to do with what we need here in the district. Those are those bright, shiny objects that they're waving around to distract you from the fact that, hey, I don't have any real policy positions on anything. I don't know what it is that I want to help you on or I can help you on. We don't have any policies. This is just a conspiracy for power is what the radical right is doing. And by radical right, I do mean Marjorie Taylor Greene. So correct.
With the radical right and what they have going there, it really concerns me, as we move forward to another election, it really concerns me about voting rights, because again, we have, this attack on voting rights. I mean, nearly every Republican-led state has passed or either is trying to pass legislation to make voting rights harder, making it harder for people to vote. Yeah, right. So I would just like to ask you, Marcus, what is your positioning on voting rights? I think it's very important to hear that again from you.
Again, I told you John Lewis was my idol. I think we need to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act.
Right.
You have to. It's critical. In order to do that, Democrats need to hold the line. We need to show up in numbers so big that they can't be denied. That they
Absolutely.
Can't be denied, no matter, making it harder to vote. Georgia was a proving ground for that, by the way, with SB 202. And then you saw a slew of states come out with similar voter, restriction bills because, they didn't like the outcome of the election. They see that when we vote, we win. When we vote, we win. Everybody wins when we vote. The last election was free, fair, and secure. So why do we need voter integrity laws now when the last one was free? No, by the way, in Georgia, those were the rules that the Republican-led legislature put in place. So you tell me why where they were good in 2010, but they're no longer good now. So
it's just it's the muddying the waters and making things more difficult and ruffling feathers that don't need to be ruffled. Some things, if this is something that you all believed in 2010, like you said, why aren't they good now? It's because they are spouting these conspiracy theories. These conspiracy theories are getting more and more deeper. There's going to be a new app that they're going to be spreading these conspiracy theories on. And I'm just very saddened to hear all of that. It's just a shame the way the directions that the country is going in. But Marcus, I believe that you are going to go to Congress and you could do something about it. So I want to know, Marcus.
Back on the
absolutely.
Misinformation and disinformation. And I'm sorry to cut you off. We have to push back on that. It's a hard thing to convince people what is really important when they're being misled. That's a hard thing, but a hard thing is what we must do. We've got to stop treating each other like our enemies.
Right.
There's so much more that we agree on in this country than we disagree on. And our politicians and leaders know that. They
Absolutely.
know that. That's why they create all these bright, shiny objects and these distractions and this misinformation and disinformation that's so dangerous right now. It really is. And I'm here to push back against it. The misinformation from people on the radical right, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's our larger struggle in this campaign.
Right. And it sounds to me like you're ready to get down and you're ready to bear down and do it. I think that's what we need. Someone that's going to be strong, that can speak up and speak out and not afraid to do so. It's very important. So I want to ask you, there's one thing that is going on right now. There's a little bit of pushback on it from the Republicans, but most people support it. Regarding members of stock trading, many members of Congress trading stocks, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, when you look at it, and I'm going to use Marjorie Taylor Greene since she's who I'm running against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she traded in Pfizer and Moderna or whatever, and she made money off of it. You know, it's, to me, members of Congress should not trade in stock when you're privy to information that could make you money. At a minimum, it should go into a blind trust, and their family members as well.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be trading on stocks, and it's we've seen this story told on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
both sides, Democrats and Republicans. We've seen it where, you know, the look of impropriety is there. You know, senators and House members making huge sums of money off of investments that they've made in stocks, and that's, you know, I don't play the stock market, never have.
Yeah,
I would be for a bill banning members of Congress from trading stock while in office.
absolutely.
At a very minimum. And then I'm open to, you know, negotiations there, but at a very minimum, putting them into a blind trust and making sure that they're not trading on information and knowledge that they've gained from their positions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Marcus, I want to round this out by saying, you know, we want to know, how can we help you win? You know, last time Marjorie Taylor Greene ran unopposed. So we really don't have anything to go off of how people would vote. You know what I mean? So how can we, as a public, people who are not will not be able to vote for you, that are not in Georgia, and then people who are in Georgia, how can we help you win?
Well, one way to do it is go to our website, www.marcusforgeorgia.com, which is right behind me, and, you know, volunteer for some phone banking. If you're in our district, you know, we take volunteers to go knock doors. You know, phone banking is fun. Knocking doors is fun. If you're in the district, you know, anything to help get the word out about this campaign on social media or wherever, you know, you'd like to help get the word out, please do. And if you can donate to our campaign, you know, there's a link on the website to donate to our campaign, because campaigns unfortunately do take money. And, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is well funded, and, well, she's self-funded in the last election cycle, but, you know, I don't think she's going to be able to do that this time.
No, especially since she's paying all of her salary for not wearing masks on the House floor. So you got
too focused on the culture wars to, you know, be an effective member of Congress right now, or an effective fundraiser. But I think people are tired of it. I think that's a sign that people are, you know, tired of it. Her fundraising took a hit. You know, when she first was elected, she had a big fundraising haul in the first quarter of last year. Mm-hmm. That's taken a huge hit since then. So I think people are starting to wisen up a little bit. But regardless of that, there would be a lot of money poured into the campaign when it's she and I running in the general election.
Right. Well, you all make sure that you go and support Marcus. I am very happy to have him here to talk with us again and sit with us, and all the players are in the comments saying they love Marcus. So I'm so excited to have you here. I hope you come back and see us soon. We're going to leave you all. Marcus, you have any final things that you'd like to add before we go?
Thanks for all the support. I'm glad to get to know your audience. Please just go to our website, check us out, you know, go to our social media. Everything's linked on our website. You know, help us spread the word. It's very important this election. Marjorie Taylor Greene is dangerous for so many reasons, and she needs to not be in Congress.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. We're going to take you guys out, play us with Marcus's campaign video again. Play that for you all, give you a little refresher. Remember to support Marcus and visit and donate if you can. Thank you all, and thank you, Marcus, for joining us, and y'all have a nice evening.
I'm Marcus Flowers, and I've spent my life serving this country in combat zones across the world. But I never thought I'd see one here in the United States.
Q is a patriot. We know that for sure.
That's Marjorie Taylor Greene's America.
Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed support for executing Democratic members of Congress.
Taylor Greene said that a plane did not hit the Pentagon on 9/11.
Her twisted conspiracy theories may have made her famous, but they haven't done a damn thing to help the people here in our district. Now I'm running for Congress because Georgians deserve better. Better health care, COVID relief, and real representation. My childhood wasn't easy. When I was 11, I moved into a children's home because my parents couldn't support me. So I learned to deal with bullies at an early age. At 18, after graduating high school, I joined the Army. My first overseas deployment was at an intelligence listening post in Central Europe on the doorstep of communism. I spent a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan as a contractor for the Department of Defense and held top secret security clearance. I've witnessed firsthand the damage done by extremism, radicalism, and disinformation. And I won't stand by while people in Washington take us down the same path. The Army Corps values teach honor, personal courage, and selfless service. That's what I'll bring to Congress. I hope you'll join me on my next mission.